it's the 21st of July today, and I thought, you know what? We're kind of in the middle of the season for the summer wise. Let's have a look around inside the tunnel and see how things are going, because all is not well. There's some rather strange things going on in here with the various different plants. And I'm pretty sure the climate, the weather that we're having this year is having something to do with it. Now, I don't want this to turn into Mark's weather channel. That's not what we're here for, but it's quite relevant. Over the past week, we've had loads of rain. It has battered down, especially yesterday. It started raining yesterday about lunchtime, maybe mid-afternoon, and it didn't stop all night. The ground is soaking outside. It absolutely battered down, but it's been cloudy, it's been humid, we've had hardly any sun, and I mean temperatures around about 18, 19, 20 degrees, which is fine, because normally if it's that outside, inside the tunnel here, you're probably a good 10 to 15 degrees centigrade on top of that, which is brilliant for getting stuff growing here. But we're not getting that because the sun's not out. It's trying, it's up there behind the camera. It's trying to burn its way through, but there's just clouds everywhere at the moment. And even this morning, it was noticeably cooler this morning. It was 9 degrees centigrade overnight last night. And I came out of the house about 7 o'clock this morning, and I could feel it. I've just got my shirt on top of my t-shirt, and I thought, do I need to go back in and get a jumper or a jacket or something? But you know, I'm going to brave it, don't we? I'll brave the 9 degrees centigrade. But even now inside the tunnel, you can see at the back there, and again at the front here, the camera's attached to the door. So behind you, we've got the mesh at the top of the door, and the mesh allows airflow through the tunnel. So the tomatoes and things like that, it really helps to manage the climate in here and prevent the tomatoes from getting blight, because you've got the airflow, things just moving around, so it becomes stagnant and things like that. But again, I can feel it. I can feel in here in the tunnel where it's supposed to be warm, because there's a bit of a breeze today. I can feel the breeze coming through, and it's not a warm breeze. So everything's just a little bit weird. So I'm going to have a little bit of a look around, because things, like I say, things aren't quite as I expect them to be. And the one advantage of having a YouTube channel like this is I can go back over the previous years for the same sort of date range, around about the same sort of time, and I can do a bit of a comparison to see exactly how things were looking in previous years, and hopefully I'll stitch in some of that footage as we go through the tunnel and have a look at things. I'll pick up some previous footage, we'll put it in, just so I can show that I'm not going crazy with this one. But I'll come over there, we'll pick the camera up, we'll have a little bit of a look around and see exactly what's going on inside here. Right, so the camera is now unhooked and free, so we can have a good look around inside the tunnel. Let me just spin you around here. First up, this end of the tunnel, these are the sweet peppers. The two at the back, we'll not look at them too much, because they're varieties that I've not done before, so I don't know how they should look compared to previous years. But these two plants at the front here, these are the king of the north. These are my go-to every year solid performers, sweet peppers. And you can see, let's have a look at the plants, you can see there's some really decent looking fruit on them. It looks really good. It's starting to blacken off at the bottom a bit, because when they're green, they'll go black and then they'll go red, and that's them ripening, and it looks okay. You know, there's fruit on them, but what I'm noticing about the peppers is the size of the plants. The plants are nowhere near as big as they've been in other years. They are way, way, way smaller. Like I said, it's a bit weird, because there's still, you know, this one over here especially, there's maybe half a dozen fruit on there. And you can see the ones at the bottom there are actually getting to a pretty decent size, but the plants are really, really small. So that's a bit odd, and I'm not sure why that's happening. I don't know if that's the lack of the sunlight. Maybe it's not, the plant's not doing as much photosynthesis as it maybe normally would, and they haven't grown as tall or as big or as bushy, but it's just a bit weird. And speaking of weird things, here's some tomatoes. Now the tomatoes, we've got them on both sides. There's loads of different varieties. It's pretty much a mirror image from one side of the tunnel to the other, but we'll focus on this one at the front. This one here is pink brandywine, this big old behemoth of a tomato plant. Now these two, there is two separate tomato plants, one here and one here. I think I've missed a sucker or something somewhere, which has caused them to become a little bit entangled, but I'll fix that up later on. But look at the height of this tomato plant. Look, it's nearly up here at where the crop bar is sort of coming across. This crop bar is at about 6'4" higher, thereabouts. So the plants themselves, you know, they must be nearly 6 foot-ish. They're not far off, but look at it. It's a lovely big bushy plant loads are growing, it's really tall. What's missing? Tomatoes. So there's not really a lot of tomatoes on it. Let me come down here to where we do have the tomatoes. Now you can just about see them poking through there, and I think there's 7 tomatoes through there, and there's only 2 trusses on this entire plant that is massive. Like I say, it's pretty much 6 foot tall. There's 1 truss there that's maybe got about half a dozen on it, and there's another one, I don't know if you can just see it back there, that's got 1 tomato on it, 1 single tomato on it. I mean, look at the size of this plant. And that's all we've got. There is flowers, more flowers up the top here starting to appear, and they've only appeared really recently. And this is what's odd about the tomatoes. All the other plants are pretty much the same. So we've got nice big lush green plants. They've all been watered well, they've been fed well. There's a tiny little bit of leaf curl in that, but I get that every year on the tomato plants. But there's hardly any fruit. There's, you know, like I said, 20th of July, bit of a weird date, sort of middle of the season. I would expect there to be much more fruit than we have at this time of year, because obviously when the sun comes, if the sun comes, we need the sun to ripen it. And we have a relatively short season here in Scotland, because once we get into autumn, things are going to die off pretty quickly when the temperatures drop, and we need them to keep going. And it just looks a bit odd, and it's all the same. Look, we've got all the tomatoes over here, pretty much the same. The black strawberry ones down here, we do have a little bit of colour down the bottom here, but that's only, again, there's only about half a dozen tomatoes there, and they're not ripe. They're still very firm. They're probably another couple of weeks off being ripe, even though they've got a little bit of colour on them. They're not looking great, and we'll have a little bit of a look here. This is probably the best performing one here. This is a sun gold one. I've had an entire 2 tomatoes off this plant to eat so far. It does have signs of fruit on it, but again, I would expect the sun gold really to have much more ripe tomatoes on it than it does this year. So that's kind of different to the bell peppers. So the bell peppers that we saw here before, that are small plants, loads of fruit, but the fruit's doing well. The tomatoes, big giant behemoth plants growing well, but a distinct lack of fruit on them, which is a bit odd. Now the cucumbers, you can see the look at the cucumbers here. I've got 3 here. Is it 3 to pick today? No, I'll just pick 2 of them probably. So we've got 2 here to pick today. This is a variety called Carmen F1. I will never ever tire of telling you how good Carmen F1 is as a variety, but it needs tying up a little bit better than it is at the moment. But where's it fallen over? Let me sorry for the dodgy camera work. Let me bring it up here so you can see. Let me zoom out, see if we can get this in here. So it's up to there on the cane, and you can see the fruit down there. It just needs tied in a little bit better than it already is. So it came up to about here. Normally at this time of year for the cucumbers, I would expect them to be all the way up to the top of this cane by now. But again, the plant's small, similar to the peppers. The plants are a bit small, but there's loads of fruit on it. I've had loads of cucumbers off this plant already, and you can see there's a couple of beauties ready to be picked, and there's another 2 or 3 well on the way, and then we've got some of the wee ones starting to grow, but they'll be massive in no time. So it's a bit odd, and let's just go down to the top of the tunnel if I can. I'm just trying to navigate my way through the little gap. I've got a bit of a mess in here, honestly. I need to tidy the mess up in here. That is a given. But we've got the chillies at the top here. The chillies again. The chillies are different again to all the others. So let's have a look. Here's the chilli plants at the end here. You can see they're the chillies. So we've got the ones, this one here, Havana Gold. Not a lot of fruit, some flowers. It looks a little bit small, a little bit sad. Like the bell peppers, the plants are much smaller. Over here, this one here, this is the super hot jigsaw brain. It's got some really interesting looking fruit on it. Actually, it's not looking too bad. It's got that sort of crinkly, wrinkled looking peppers, which means something's going to be exceptionally hot. And again, the plant is small, but there's decent fruit. This one here, which is sugar or stripy, again, you can just see there's some decent fruit sort of growing around here, and it's looking all right. Again, loads of fruit, but the plant is just really small. So things are just looking a little bit odd, especially for this time of year, and I'm not entirely sure what's causing the problem. I mean, is it lack of pollinators? I mean, normally there are things inside the polytunnel buzzing around. I mean, it's, Yes, it's got a big cover on it, but you know, it's not Fort Knox in here. There's gaps all the way around the doors where clearly my top level carpentry skills haven't quite paid off yet. There's loads of room, especially here at the front, the door you're attached to here. The gaps are much bigger, believe me, that things can get in and out. And I leave the doors open, especially when I'm here. The doors are open. There's no pollinators. There's spiders and stuff like that, but there's no bees, there's no hoverflies, there's nothing buzzing about that would do that. That's what's causing the problem. Maybe there's no fruit because nothing's been pollinated. Is it the weather? Has the weather caused the problems? Is there not enough sunlight, enough photosynthesis? The plants aren't getting big, well, apart from the tomatoes, that is. What's going on? It's just a bit crazy. It could be a combination. The weather, if it's raining so much, the pollinators, the little fuzzy ones like the bees and that, don't like the rain. Because certainly over there where the comfrey is, in the past you've seen previous videos, when the days have been really sunny, nice and lovely, that comfrey bush over there, honestly, it buzzes. It is alive with bees and things getting in and about it. But I don't know, it's all just a bit odd. Let me know in the comments down below, have you had this sort of problem this year? Have you got a polytunnel or a greenhouse? Are you growing them outside? Are your ones outside doing better? Are you having better luck outside in the open than you are inside a sort of controlled environment like this, where you know, can control the nutrients, the watering? There's no wind buffeting the plants. There's me elbowing the plants, but no wind buffeting them and stuff like that. It's just a bit odd. Let me know in the comments down below if you're having the same sort of issues as well, wherever you might happen to be in the world. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, folks.